Alright guys, here I am just 1 week out from my show next week. So I'm going to give you guys a quick update and see how my conditioning is looking. Alright, posing is super exhausting, so it's time for a meal before this chest workout with Sing. Alright, gentlemen, front left bicep. Side chest. Back double bicep. I'm not going to relax here. Just take a step back. Face forward. Abdominal to the side. Favorite classic physique pose? Any favorite classic is like your favorite shot. There you go. There, I'm going to argue the fact that I think you almost look better today. Don't say that.
Somebody's dehydrated.
Front double?
Yeah. Open my flat spread from after that? Yeah.
And then we go side tricep. Alright guys, that is a wrap for today's video. As I said, just 1 week remaining. It's time to lock in. Hussein, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, bro.
I say you gotta have the most impressive natural physique in the world right now. So kudos to you for doing that with only 3 years of training.
Yep.
Now I'm sure those 3 years you've been disciplined with your nutrition and training. Whereas guys, if you're wondering why you're plateaued or not making the progress you want, it does come down to the time old saying, consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, because I see it even now, like sometimes when I'm off my diet, I get fatter and I look natty, so stay on you need consistency, you need to have it.
And would you say nutrition is the most important aspect of somebody reaching their goals for fitness?
Absolutely, 100%. You can be training right. If you're not eating right, you're gonna not see the results you want. So honestly, you can eat right, not have the best training, which I had for like probably the first year. Like I said, I was training in my garage for a full year and I was still getting really good results because I was trying to dial it in as much as possible.
Oh yeah. Well, with that said, where can they find you online?
You can find me on usain.fht on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I don't really use TikTok, but you can follow me there if you want to. But yeah, that's basically it.
All right, thank you again so much, brother. Hope you move out here to the States. We need more people like you, man.
Thank you, we'll do, bro. We're gonna work out it. I need to grow my legs, so that would be next.
Yeah, you and me both, man. You and me both.
They look amazing, bro.
Thank you.
Getting the pro card, that's for sure.
Hell yeah, it's overdue. It's got my name on it. So I think Eric got you on that one.
Go.
Let's get it. Yes. Bring that chest to life. Yep. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's not too heavy for me.
Look too heavy?
Yeah. I'll probably drop it on the next one.
It's a little heavy for me right now too, not gonna lie. Whew.
There we go.
Okay.
Awesome.
Oh, dude, that chest is full. Damn.
It has to be, bro. I hit it 3 times in a row. It better be full.
Hell yeah, it is, man. It's
Yeah,
a
thank you,
big
bro.
chest.
I'm trying to get like you, man.
Got a really nice taper.
Yeah, the waist it helps like make everything look a bit bigger.
Definitely.
That's one thing. And also when I get, like I store all of my fat here mainly.
Sure.
So when I do get leaner, I think on stage it was like 26
Wow.
inches, yeah.
And then what's your body weight now?
Right now I'm 182, 183.
182,
Yeah.
that's nuts. Damn, you're looking pretty thick for 182.
There you go. I look kind of bigger. I think it's the waist just helps with make it look better.
Oh, big time. We're all chasing that taper, that X-frame.
This is I've been hitting this one.
That's a good shot. Yeah, man, it really makes the waist disappear.
Yeah, we'll do some pictures after if you're down.
Yeah, let's get it, man. Let's get it. That's a good pose, man. Nice. Yeah, for that shot to really pop on you, I mean, definitely your greatest attribute is your chest.
Chest, yeah.
By far. His greatest attribute is his chest. 100%. Chest, arms. Yeah, really good. Like even this side profile, it looks so full.
There you go.
Yeah, it looks really good. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll compete like a bit more seriously down the road.
Ah, dude.
Got a
If you
few
did
years.
that, you'd be very competitive.
Yeah.
Very competitive.
What category? My legs are probably my worst part, to be honest.
Okay.
So I definitely need to work on them. I think that's why I'm so light and I look bigger. Just because the legs needed like 20 pounds.
Could definitely play a factor.
Yeah,
I mean, you'd fit really well in physique,
yeah.
you know, or classic even. You have a classic shape with
lot
a
of
really
people-
small
yeah.
waist.
The judges were telling me like you should, if you put on like 10 pounds on your legs, classic would be insane.
Yeah.
So that's what Greg as well told me the same thing.
Yeah, I think classic should
Yeah.
look. Definitely.
Yeah, I'll need some tips on growing the legs from you.
For me, growing legs?
Because that's what I learned, that's what I was taught.
Are you feeling accomplished?
Feeling swollen.
Great.
Swollen.
That's the perfect time to check out the physique, right?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Is there a pose room?
Want to do a front leg spread as well?
Yeah.
Because I think it should be in classic, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Right?
Yes.
And then side chest.
Okay. Let me step over here in line.
Yeah, but there should always be like a proper line. What I noticed, I don't know if you noticed it as well, during the meet and greet at the FIBO, people they start to try to out-angle you. I'm like, you're going on a picture with us. Do you want to look bigger than us? Why do you want that so badly? I mean, don't you want to see the athlete itself? But
I never understood that.
yeah. the benefit of seeing the back. There's always something missing when you practice posing. You don't have a posing room. And it's so nice you can see your own back.
Oh, I love that.
Then, favorite classic pose?
Okay. So that one, I want to try and do your classic pose.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's actually my favorite in the division, but I have no idea how to do it.
Okay. It's also the one that Chris used to do. And because I saw Chris do it, Urs did it, and some others, I'm like, oh, let's try it myself. So it's kind of a hybrid between the front lat spread and the bicep pose. So, or did you mean the Arnold pose?
Both.
Okay, let's do the one I just explained first. So what you always want to do when it's a classic pose, you don't want to hit it straight on because that's how I used to do it, but that's easy.
Okay.
You want to kind of make it real classic. So the side where your arm is flexing is the hip. You go into that side of the hip.
Okay.
So it's kind of like females can do it very easily to play with the hips. For males it's a bit more difficult. So you always gotta just, your knee goes that way and you automatically, you can kind of more extremely do this.
Okay.
But now the difficult part, how do you then contract this leg? So then you gotta push the hip a little bit back so you can get into the contraction like this. And then you put this leg as far out as possible up until you can still see the gap is closed. So if you put it too far, it's gonna look awkward. So you wanna put it like this, then be in this position, and then to make it more classic, instead of going all straight up, first go in like this,
Okay.
and then blow out all the air, and then you've got the classic pose.
Yeah.
Nice. You want to try, yeah, it's going to be difficult for right now, but you want to try to see my waist goes into this direction, because your legs go that way, your waist goes this way to create an S form, which is the classic pose form, which draws like the statuesque feeling in people that they say, okay, that's a classic pose. Because I can do this, but it's like a bodybuilding pose, but that's like a classic pose. It's pretty much the same, but just different. So it's all about creating those lines, basically.
Yeah, like you said, it's very difficult to create that curve.
Yeah, so it's like you kind of push this hip far enough out, so you kind of also make your waist smaller. You turn a little bit like this, so you can actually make it, if it's straight on, it's always wider than a little bit from an angle. So from here, you can really create that illusion of a smaller waist as well. Yeah, it's getting there for sure. Nice. You can already see that it's getting there. And you want to push this knee to the other side, outwards. So like this. Yeah.
Oh, like
Not
that.
like a squat.
Ah.
You should know that.
Yeah, that's a lot better already.
Yeah, that's
The
right.
hips are perfect because you can see the lines all the way here. And that means you're putting the hip far enough back to get those lines of the quads all the way up. Very nice. And you've got a good bicep peak on that one.
Yeah, this is not the torn one.
Yeah, the other one is actually also, isn't that?
Yeah, this is the one.
Yeah, yeah, that's insane. That's insane.
And then the arms one.
The Arnold one it can be the easiest, but also the most difficult, because it involves also that S shape, but you got to be quite flexible. So you actually want to stand that direction,
Okay.
then one leg back, and then push your hip forward, so you're kind of in this position, and then all you want to do is pull a vacuum and then turn to this side enough, so you create that V-taper from the side basically.
This pose?
Yeah, a little, yeah, just like that.
Okay. And then you.
And then basically you're doing a frontal bicep,
Okay.
but then turn it this way.
While keeping my hips away, right?
Yeah, as much as possible, not entirely, but when you start like this, of course your hips are going to go a little bit, but if you start too much in that direction, you're going to just hit it from the front. So you want to kind of exaggerate the starting position, and then when you turn, you will create the perfect combination of the angle and still showing the width of your arms, the peaks of your biceps, because otherwise sometimes you're a little bit more too much like this and it looks like horrible. So you gotta hit it exactly perfect. Let's give it a shot.
Okay, so this is the starting position.
Well, like this. So your foot more back, and you want to see this leg.
Oh, do you want to see
Yeah,
it?
yeah, just like that. Yeah.
Am I leaning my weight on this leg?
Let's see. On the front leg, actually.
On the front leg?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the leg, okay, the front
This
leg.
one is actually loose.
This is loose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not bad actually. That's pretty good. If you push the hip forward a bit more, yeah, that's good. That's actually pretty good.
But I see what you mean.
Yeah, right?
My torso never moves in that direction.
Yeah, it's like the vacuum and pulling in the waist at the same time, and then holding that pose like that. And that's why it's when they say favorite classic pose, and then the judge is like silent, you're like, please just say stop or relax, or you're like, oh damn, I've got to hold that pose for so long. So it's a risky pose, but it pays off when it's done correctly. And honestly, you've done it pretty well for the first time, for real.
And then speaking of holding poses, when you're holding the vacuum, right, and they're making you go rounds and switch between the person next to you, how much do you exhale before you pull the vacuum, right? Because I can pull a vacuum exhaling for only a couple of seconds, or I can exhale for like 10 seconds and still pull the vacuum, right? But it's a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
So it's like, to rephrase the question, how deep do you want to pull your vacuum? Because if it's too deep, I feel like you get gassed too quickly. Right?
Exactly, because you mentioned it correctly. The longer you exhale, the longer you hold your breath. Because the moment you exhale, that's the moment you kind of hold your breath. So sometimes when they say frontal biceps, you then too long, then it's gonna take away from the oxygen that you could have taken in beforehand. So usually, I don't really count anything, but it's just a feeling. It's just a couple of seconds of breathing out quite quickly and then pulling it in. And then you don't want to go for the deepest possible vacuum, but just enough. Because you don't necessarily want to create that intense shadowing, like over the lower abs with the ribs, but you just want a narrow waist. Because that will be the best balance, because it kind of sucks when you put it in as much as possible and you can't hold it. Then the contrast between the vacuum and the normal stomach will be bigger, and that will be noticeable. But if you just pull a vacuum, like not a super deep one, and then you want to catch your breath, you can still breathe a little bit without it catching the judge's attention. So, and especially during heavy comparisons, that's what you got to take into account. Because at some point you won't be able to pull such deep vacuum anymore.
Right.
Yeah, so I usually do like a few seconds.
It's very quick.
Yeah.
See, in my first couple of shows, I was exhaling way too much, trying to pull a super deep vacuum, and then I was gassed in like one round of it.
Yeah, that's so important. Presentation, like you can look as great as you want, but the presentation on stage is ultimately what can win or make you lose a show. Even if you look the best, objectively, your physique, if you can't show it, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So you might as well show like a 90% presentation and try to go for 100, and all of a sudden it's going to go to 10% where you can't even do the pose normally. So it's kind of like finding that balance between the vacuum and not making it too perfect, but just enough so you have enough conditioning for the rest of the round as well.
Right.
That's kind of like,
For being too exhausted, that was definitely my issue.
And let's actually do the most muscular.
I'll see that. Oh yeah, definitely.
So I like to do the crab most muscular to show the details of as well. And I think you're very round and bubbly, so you kind of like this one, right? Yeah, this one. Yeah,
I like this one.
Yeah,
It used to be the crab.
Yeah.
But this one hides my torn bicep.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah. Because you can't really see it.
Then it looks even more complete than the other one.
It does. Yeah.
All right, let's do that.
All right.
Our own versions. Nice.
All right.
Right. Yeah, but the fullness is definitely there.
Yeah.
For sure. I think we kind of have similar physiques, whereas we're both upper body dominant.
Big time.
And because we're both tall, of course that's not an excuse, but it is a reality. It just takes longer to fill out.
No doubt.
Whereas I can see in this workout, your upper body has a great connection there, so it's gonna grow. And I know you're super strong with basically every body part, but especially with the squats, for example.
Right.
So it's always like, I'm sure that if you apply the mind muscle connection you have with the upper body to the legs, they're gonna grow as quickly as possible as well. And that's what I'm doing myself right now.
And you're seeing changes. And,
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that's what keeps me going. Once I can see progress, when I look
Yeah.
back, I'm motivated.
Yeah.
It only
That's what
becomes
it's about.
depressing when you can't see
Yeah.
progress. And you're like, well,
Yeah.
what am I doing?
Exactly.
Right. So as long as
Yeah.
no matter how small it is, it's enough to keep me going.
That's the way of bodybuilding. That's what makes bodybuilding fun. Because we all know at the beginning progress goes so quick.
Right.
The fact that you see yourself changing almost every day is the fun part, but now it's about those small changes we can see from the effort we put in. That will make it fun. And I think if we, I'm sure you're already really working on making the perfect balanced physique. But I think when you even get, I mean, you're 5 weeks out, right?
Yeah.
And the more conditions you get, the bigger, at least for me, the legs are going to look.
That's right.
And they have to be shocked by the separation in your quads, that even if someone next to you has bigger legs, it doesn't matter as much anymore because you are the one with the quality legs. And to me, that's what classic is. And then if we combine it with like a proper sweep, then it's game over.
Oh, big
Yeah.
time.
For sure, for sure.
All right, that wraps up today's epic chest session with Wesley. Just about 5 weeks out,
Yeah,
and I'm learning all that I can from my peers.
it's amazing.
So thank you so much for being patient and
Of course.
allowing me to be the student today.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to see that someone with your accomplishments still is enabling himself to be a student of anyone. I mean, that's not a lot of people are doing this. So whenever I can just share my experience, I'm happy to do so. So hopefully you learned anything from our experience together, our work together, and maybe you can apply it to the show itself. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on stage.
Most definitely. And I wish you all the gains for this next year as
you
you
very much.
enter your bulk season.
Yeah,
That's going to be
finally.
very long and likely pleasurable.
Yeah,
all
of
the
course.
calories.
Of course, we're gonna do it.
With that said, guys, please follow Wesley's journey. Link will be in the description box down below, and we will see you very soon.